You should get an update right now.
I should?
Yeah, you should refresh. Let me go to Facebook. We're live right now, folks. Come on in. Join us here at the table. There we go. Should be coming up. See if it plays. Yep, good. See yourself too. Scroll, yeah, refresh it. Bingo.
Beautiful.
Awesome. I might want to make sure we're level here too. How we look right there? You look good.
It looks like you're still on the screen somehow.
No, it's a little lagged. I'll leave and come back.
Perfect, no problem.
All right, guys, well, come on in. Join us here at the table. We have a special guest here. Joining us, Sam Block. You can call him Sammy or Sam. He is a sophomore at the Ohio State University. You guys got to pronounce the big-time players here. You have a long list of resume going on right now for you, bud. He's a host of Buzzer Beaters. He's a podcast that's your own.
Yes, sir.
Love that. He's a broadcaster for Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. He writes for hoopscritics.com, and it's an NBA site which we will be diving into on this podcast. He's also an intern at Big Ten Network, Student U, the BTN. And then also he's a sports reporter for the Lantern TV.
Yep.
You can follow this guy on Twitter. That's how I found you. You followed me out of the blue. It is at the Block Spot. BLOCKSPOT.
Yep.
You have
definitely follow me.
You have some great tweets.
Thank you.
I love your
Appreciate
Twitter
that.
so much. You have very underrated. He's gonna blow up. I promise you'll be verified in the next 4 or 5 years. I guarantee once you graduate, it's gonna happen.
I hope so. Definitely follow me. Bobby's a big supporter here.
Huge supporter. The stuff you were tweeting earlier was with the Colts, and I want to say some stuff in college football that really got me going. I think it was when Ohio State lost to Iowa, and they were trying to make their way on the back door to the 4 seed, and you were saying a whole bunch of stuff, and I was agreeing everything with you. Unfortunately, it did not work out that way.
Yeah, for sure. Once they lost to Iowa, everyone was like, the season's over, and I had a strange feeling that if they won out, they were going to make the playoff, and I think the committee screwed us over clearly.
The SEC committee.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Ohio State should have made the playoff, and that tweet really would have been something.
So you are from Jersey.
Yes, sir.
What part?
I'm from like north central Jersey, Springfield, New Jersey, little small town.
Now, the state is really small.
Yes, sir.
The Garden State.
Yep.
Is it green?
Nope, not green, just a name.
So it's a fake name. But you're a big Boston fan, not New York.
Well, I like the Mets in baseball,
Okay.
but my dad grew up loving the Celtics and Bruins, so those are my 2 Boston teams for sure.
You got the Boston accent right there coming out of you. All right, so we're going to dive into that, but one second before we do, guys, go check out our website, seatathet.com. That's seatathet.com. Ethan Graham is posting an article to cover up Tywan Claxton, a wrestler for Ohio University who just turned professional in Bellator in the past 6 months. He had the knockout pretty much of the year, flying knee out of nowhere, and then he won this past weekend. Check out the article. Ethan Graham, who's been on the podcast many times when I was back down at Ohio University. It is good stuff. Hopefully we'll have the knockout video for the past 2 fights in this video. Or in this article, excuse me. I also want to give a shout out to Brony's Bar and Grill down in Athens, Ohio. They just signed on to be a sponsor here at the Seat of the T once again. We're going to try to get down there to do a podcast. I've got Max McDoulan running the ship down there right now, so huge shout out to Max, doing a great job. For this podcast with Sam, we're going to dive into all college basketball and NBA, and we might slip in some MLB to end the show with. We'll see how things are going here.
Sounds good. Let's get started.
Let's dive into the NBA right now. We've got to go back a couple weeks. The Cleveland Cavaliers. A lot of fans here love the Cavs. Now, I don't know how many LeBron fans are out in Jersey, but LeBron was in a funk. His team that he assembled coming into this year, which everyone's saying is his last year in Cleveland, he had every member pretty much handpicked that he wanted, including the coach, Mr. Lou. Now, the team did not work out the way he wanted to. He had Dwayne Wade back from Miami. The brothers with PB&J were back. They weren't getting wins. Derrick Rose, too old, nothing's working out. They absolutely had a yard sale, folks. Changed up the team probably the most trades in one day for a single team in history.
It was crazy.
Literally had a whole new roster coming into the next day. What's your opinion on the Cleveland Cavaliers before and now?
I feel like the Cavaliers going into the season, clearly the favorites to win the East just because they have LeBron. They've done it for so many years. But once the season started going, it was like, all right, Celtics are red hot, Toronto's doing well, and the Cavs, they started off okay. When Isaiah came back, they started playing well again, but then they just started collapsing.
Yep.
Isaiah Thomas, great on Boston, not fitting well with LeBron James. They both like the ball in their hands. It was not working well at all. And like you said, they had those old guys. J.R. Smith wasn't playing well. Tristan Thompson wasn't playing well. Iman Shumpert, Derrick Rose, the list goes on and on. I think they had to break it up. I do not necessarily think they are better talent-wise now. But I think Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood, all those guys coming in, they're young, fresh legs. It's just a change. Like, when teams make coaching changes, it's not always because their last coach was terrible and their new coach is great. It's just a change. And sometimes when changes happen, it really can help a team, especially a guy like LeBron James, who they want to keep him in Cleveland.
Yes.
They had to do something or he was gone.
And funny you talking about coaching change. Same thing happened with Ohio State. They were not good at all last year. You put a new head coach in, and then look what's going on right now in Columbus.
I mean, that's a perfect example because Thad Matta is a Hall of Fame college basketball coach, in my opinion.
Yes.
But it wasn't working anymore. So now they bring in this new guy, Chris Holtmann from Butler.
Yeah.
Good program, always winning.
Yeah.
And look what he's doing now. I mean, it's just a culture shock. It's a
yep.
culture change. It's incredible.
You look at the players in the NBA, too. If you come into the season, pretty much the last 8 years, you've known that there's 3 or 4 teams that have a legit shot at winning an NBA championship. All of the teams are close, or they're tanking, regrouping, whatever you want to call it, that can't get over the hump. Well, when you have LeBron James, that's the X factor. He is the best player on the court at all times, no matter what. Yeah, you might have Golden State with a load of players, but no matter where LeBron is, he'll be the best player. Now you're getting all these players, these new kids coming into Cleveland now after the trade deadline that were on teams that weren't so good. L.A., Denver. I mean, these places were not winning ball clubs. And you put them with LeBron James. Oh, we have a winning record right now. It's a whole new team. Yeah, sure, let's play. Let's play together.
Right, that's a good point. And I do want to caution people, though. Like you were saying, you're making great points here. The Lakers, Kings, George Hill came from the Kings.
Yep.
And, Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance Jr. came from the Lakers. They're coming over, and they have not won before.
No.
I mean, George Hill's had some success in his past, but right now not winning. The Lakers not winning. Yeah, they're going to come in. They're playing with LeBron James now. They're one of the best teams in the league. Yeah, they're going to start playing well, shooting threes, lights out. But I caution people, when it starts getting into important games, when it starts getting into maybe Eastern Conference final games, can you really count on Jordan Clarkson to put up 20 points? I don't think so.
It's going to be a question when it comes time to answer it. Right now, they're riding the high streak. They haven't lost. They're 2 or 3-0 right now.
Correct. After
the trade deadline. They just had a nice long All-Star break where only LeBron James was the only player to play in the game. They're well rested. Kevin Love was there. He's still resting his hand. These guys are going to be ready to go. I mean, they are so excited. I mean, Nance was in the All-Star game, but I mean, he's not a contributing factor, but he will be for Cleveland.
Right.
He's got to. Before if he was playing for the Lakers, he'd be like, okay, cool. This is the last great thing of the season before we just do nothing the rest of the year.
Correct.
Now he's got to get ready and get mentally focused. Okay, we're playing meaningful games in March. We got playoff basketball in April, May, and hopefully playing towards June.
Yeah, for sure. I think Cleveland needs to stay focused, and I do not think that will be a problem because you have the king, LeBron James, and it's hard not to stay focused when he's your leader. I think it was a huge spark for a guy like J.R. Smith. He's thinking to himself, I've been to the finals however many straight years.
3 now.
We could easily get back. And he was really struggling. But now these young guys are coming in, and now, before you know it, he's shooting the lights out of the ball. I think that's really good. I think Tristan Thompson, another guy that Cleveland fans seem to hate. I hear it all the time at Ohio State, Tristan Thompson garbage. I disagree. I think he's a very, very, very solid player in his role.
Okay.
Big-time rebounder, can block shots. He's an energy big, and he's important. Without Kevin Love, they need a guy to rebound.
Well, Kevin Love, in my opinion, is the whole X factor of the team. If he plays well, the team wins. If he doesn't, the team usually hits a funk, and they blame it on Kevin Love for not doing well. Tristan Thompson, again, folks are watching this the first time. I am not a Cleveland fan at all. all my fans out there, they know I hate LeBron James. He's just not a likable guy in my opinion. But if you look at it, Tristan Thompson, he's got two things going wrong for him. One, he's got the Kardashian curse.
Correct.
You cannot date any of the Kardashians.
It's terrible.
It's horrible luck. Second off, you can't get out-rebound by Steph Curry in a championship series. In my opinion, you're 7 foot tall. You're getting paid $80 million to rebound the ball and dish it out to LeBron or Kyrie at the time, and you can't even rebound the ball. I mean, it blows my mind to be that gifted in a certain area and can't get the job done. So we'll see if he can step his game up the rest of the year, excuse me. But looking at the rest of the East, because right now the West is pretty much set with Houston, Golden State, and maybe OKC if they can find their groove.
Right.
Those are the three dominant teams out there.
Especially now with Kawhi Leonard saying he may not play the rest of the year. Now, San Antonio, just to bring it up real quick, I think they're pretty much toasted. I think they're done. I mean, clearly they're still a good team, but without Kawhi Leonard, there's no way they're winning the West. And I think Kawhi Leonard may be out the door because I don't know why he wouldn't play.
Well, if he sits out the rest of the year and somehow he can manage to get LeBron down there,
now that would be something
playing
else.
The best player of our lifetime, playing with the best coach ever.
Correct.
It's a different story. One of my buddies down in New Orleans, Scott Horvitz, saying LeBron to Nola. We'll see if that is even a case. And you got Anthony Davis, Boogie, but it's not really working down there either for them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, New Orleans, they were 26-21 when Boogie went out.
Yep.
And they were, that sounds pretty average, but they were starting to put together some wins.
Yep.
I don't think they would have done anything big in the West, but they definitely could have made some noise. They just have such a terrible bench. They have Rajon Rondo, who's very good in the playoffs. He almost beat the Celtics single-handedly last year. He's a very good postseason player. Boogie and Davis are unstoppable, but the rest of their roster is complete trash. It's really sad. They need to get another guy.
It's weird because looking at last year when they finally got Boogie from Sacramento, they were fighting for that 8 seed, and right now they're still sitting the 8 seed. It's frustrating with all the talent they got, but nothing's working out for them.
Right.
There's only a couple of places you can see LeBron going, but staying here in the East, it's a three-headed monster right now as well.
For sure.
We have Cleveland back in their groove. Are they the best team, or is Toronto finally rising up to the occasion with Drake as their ambassador?
Yeah.
Or is your team, the Boston Celtics, going to find its groove and stay in its groove with Kyrie? Can they do it?
So, I think Cleveland is going to definitely be the favorite moving forward just because they have LeBron and they have this new spark. I think Toronto, for the first year in a couple, is actually legitimately a contender. They could definitely win the Eastern Conference.
Okay.
And I think the Celtics, they struggled the past couple weeks. A big reason why is because Marcus Smart was out.
Yep.
By far their best defender, can really guard any position. Even though he's a guard, he could easily guard the center position. He just boxes out real well. When he comes back, which he is coming back Friday night in their first game after the All-Star break, it's really going to be a very impactful thing. I think they're going to start getting back to their winning ways. I think it's a 2-team race for the 1 spot because Cleveland's still 6 games back.
They're so far back. They're 6.5 right
That's
now.
A lot.
They've won 4. I mean, if they get the 1 seed, good for them. I think it's going to be the same thing last year with Boston taking the 1 seed. But if Cleveland drops to the 3, it stays at the 3 seed, that means they got to go to Toronto.
Right, and that's interesting because Toronto's a really tough place to play.
They get loud. They're fans. What do they call it? The Jurassic Park?
Yeah,
outside?
I mean, they say we the North.
The North.
They take pride in being the only team up there.
Yes.
So that's a tough place to play. I'd still lean Cleveland in that series, but I could easily see that going 6-7 games.
If Toronto keeps it up the way, they've won 7 in a row. They're 9-1 in the last 10 games going into the break. Boston fell off a little bit. They lost 3. They still have a 4.5 game lead over Cleveland. This last couple months will be interesting. Yeah,
it should definitely be interesting. And one team I want to say, actually 2 to look out for.
Who to look out for?
Okay, so Washington is dangerous because I watched them in the playoffs last year.
You like Wall?
I mean, John Wall's a great player, and when he comes back healthy, maybe towards playoff time, they're going to be dangerous. I would not want to play them because Bradley Beal's having an all-star caliber year. John Wall, clearly one of the better point guards in the league. And I wouldn't say Washington is a threat to win it all by any means, but they're definitely scary. Like, they could definitely pull an upset over any of those top 3 teams that you named. Another team to watch out for on a little bit of the lesser end is Milwaukee. The Milwaukee Bucks, very dangerous. I thought they were very overrated going into the year, and I was kind of proved right because they were struggling so much. But now, all of a sudden, after they got rid of Jason Kidd...
No new coach right there, new blood.
Exactly. We're talking about culture change. all of a sudden Milwaukee's picking it up. They're really hot. Like, I think they could upset one of those top teams as well.
Well, they got the Greek Freak.
Yes.
That's also the new X factor once LeBron starts heading down his... I mean, you can only stay up for so long.
Correct.
You have to hit what Kobe did and Michael did. You hit a spot where you start declining.
Right.
Giannis, in my opinion, is the next great player.
Yeah, it depends when LeBron starts declining.
That's a question.
I think KD is still young enough to maybe take over that reign as best player, but I agree with you, like, maybe 6 years down the line, Giannis.
It's going to be a couple years for sure, but in my opinion, I picked it a couple podcasts ago. Beginning the season of the NBA, I said LeBron James will be back. It's going to be part 4 of the NBA Finals.
Okay.
Whether Golden State can get out of the West, but I still think Cleveland will run through the East. I don't think anyone in the East has a legitimate shot at beating him right now with the new team.
Okay.
And then Hayward going down night 1.
Right.
Really
tragic.
hurt. Yeah, absolutely tragic to hurt Boston like that. But again, we still have a whole month and a half left of regular season basketball. Now... what do we have next on the agenda?
Yeah, man. I mean, we could go into college basketball for sure. Oklahoma.
Well, first off, let's stay in the NBA.
Okay.
Let's talk about what's going on in Dallas.
All right. Dallas.
Okay.
Tough situation.
Very tough situation. I don't know if you guys have heard. If you haven't, go to ESPN. Go to their NBA tab. You can go check out Rachel Nichols. She breaks it down in the 6-minute video that this news broke from SI. Talking about, this is a day after Mark Cuban came out with comments saying that they're going to tank the rest of the year.
Right.
Now, no owner ever says they're going to tank because you will get fined, and Mark Cuban, multi-billionaire, got fined $600,000 a day, which is just a little check for him. Pocket change for him, yes. But it comes out today, this huge story breaks that there was sexual harassment going on in the Mavericks organization for the past 20 years almost.
Yeah.
Adema Usare,
right?
Tough name to say, was a CEO, general manager of the Mavericks for the past 18, 19 years.
Correct.
Allegations came out about him cornering women in elevators. Very tough stuff to even listen to Rachel Nichols get into because she's a female. This hits her at home for sure. It also was talking about how they had another host on one of their pregame TV shows break one of his girlfriend's hands. He pled guilty to that. They kept him on the payroll for the Mavericks, and then ended up he dated another girl in the organization and then beat her up.
Right.
And they still didn't fire him.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff's breaking out on that. Do you think this is the tip of the iceberg? Do you think more stuff's going to happen to the Mavericks?
I think more stuff's going to happen. It's hard. You've seen with Penn State a couple years ago, Michigan State now, Louisville today. It's really hard to just cover something up. Usually people know about it. And in terms of covering up, usually they then cover up. I think a lot of people in the Mavericks organization probably knew much more than we know right now.
Yeah.
I think, you never want to speculate too much, but I think Mark Cuban, he could be in danger of losing his position.
I don't think there's no way you can lose a billionaire like him that has been supporting the team for so long to lose his job.
Okay.
I think he's also come clean after all this and saying it was been his fault the whole time. He should have done something better with this. The craziest part of the story, though, is that Adema Usare, again, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I do apologize. He left 2 years ago because he got a better job at Under Armour.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even last at that job for 2 months because sexual harassment cases
More allegations
came out.
Yeah.
So it reminds me a lot of Michigan State right now.
Mm-hmm.
They were covering up their own footsteps. And then the doctor, Nasser?
Yeah, Larry Nasser.
Larry Nasser got caught with the USA Olympic team, and then it drew back all the lines to Michigan State, and then everything blew up at Michigan State.
Right.
So the next couple of weeks is going to be the same thing as what we had for Michigan State. More stuff will come out. More answers will come out. And it's going to be, in my opinion, could be devastating for them.
Yeah, I mean, they said in the report that the whole organization was just toxic. The whole environment, a lot of the men in the organization. So that's what I'm saying. You never know. Rick Carlisle, a very well-respected coach.
Yes.
Hopefully he wasn't involved in this in any way. But you never know with this stuff. And it's just weird, Mark Cuban's a very outspoken guy.
Very outspoken.
But I will say, something interesting is, like you were saying, he did come out and say he's apologizing and it was his fault. But, maybe he's coming out now because he got caught. That's the only thing. I could see something bad happening to him. We'll see.
That's what most people do when they get caught. They probably come out. They've been hiding under their shelf for a long time. And Cuban's, like you said, very outspoken. People, when you see him walk down the street, you know him from being outspoken and being on Shark Tank. He's not just on the Mavericks team. You see him from all these other stuff.
Right. You want to talk about that tanking thing a little bit? I think that's interesting.
Go ahead. You talk about that.
Okay, so I have no problem with, teams trying to acquire young players.
Philadelphia 76ers,
right,
number one team.
I have no problem with tanking if you're acquiring young players, sending veterans away, giving yourself maybe not as good of a chance to win right now, but bettering yourself for the future. But I do have a serious problem with Mark Cuban saying out loud, hey, team, you guys should be losing. Like, it's better if you're losing. Because guys like Dennis Smith Jr., great rookie. Guys like Dwight Powell, good young player. Dirk Nowitzki, been winning his whole career. He's not going to lose on purpose. Yeah. So, you could try to change your team a little bit and make your roster more so benefiting winning in the future more so than now. But you shouldn't say out loud, let's try to lose. That's not
that hurts the game of basketball itself.
Right.
If you're a paying fan to go see a game at home for the Dallas Mavericks, and we're not going to try to win this game?
Right.
I'll take my money back.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll save it for the next year, the year after that. When
not
you're
a good
the team. It hurts the organization more than you could think. Yeah, and then going back to the players, a lot of these players come up and that's all they've done is win, and they want to win, and then you're saying, oh, it's okay to lose? What's that do for their mindset moving forward?
Right, exactly. And I just don't like that move at all. And it's interesting because, it is probably better to be to get a top 5 draft pick versus, just missing out on the playoffs and being middle of the pack every year. But it's still, you should try to win. You should try to build a winning culture. For example, the Celtics, the year they got Isaiah Thomas, they were a rebuilding team. All of a sudden, Isaiah Thomas comes in from the trade from the Suns. He's not trying to lose. He's trying to win right now. Yep. Sure enough, they win. They make the playoffs. They get an 8 seed. And they get blown out in the first round, but that doesn't matter. Going to the postseason is just very valuable experience, especially for young players.
Yes, absolutely. Anything else in the NBA?
That's good with me, man.
All right, we're going to switch topics now to college basketball. If you have any questions, again, this is Sam Block, by the way. Got to mention that one more time here.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm here.
Sophomore from Ohio State, the Ohio State University.
That's right.
Big Buckeye here. We're going to talk about college basketball now. We will dive into Ohio State. If you have any questions about any college basketball topic, we'll dive into the Louisville scandal right now.
Any questions, let us know.
We'll talk about Oklahoma and Trae Young and what's going on with them. And then we will talk about Ohio State. Well, let's talk about right now. Yeah, you guys can message us right here on the Facebook.
Yeah, are you looking out for it?
I'm looking out for it right now.
Perfect. We love you guys. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the Louisville's championship getting stripped now.
Okay. A lot of opinions on this.
So we got to rewind this pretty much to a couple months ago. Rick Pitino gets booted out of Louisville.
Yep.
For cases of having recruits come in, giving them money, giving them sexual favors, and then paying them off. Big time with Adidas. He gets the boot, and pretty much has been quiet since then.
Yeah.
And then news breaks yesterday that NCAA has revoked and taken back the 2013 national championship. Now, that was my freshman year in college. I remember sitting in my dorm room watching Michigan, who I obviously being a giant Buckeye fan here in Columbus, I was rooting for them for the Big Ten. Their point guard was Trey Burke, who grew up in the Columbus City area, went to Northland High School, and I watched him multiple times in high school and was a big fan of Trey Burke. Fortunately, he didn't go to Ohio State. He would have been an absolute baller for them.
Right.
But they lost by, I think, 6 points in that championship game. Louisville had the banner raised. The banner is now coming down. The championship is vacated. Do we put Michigan as the national champion?
You definitely do not put Michigan as the national champion. I saw Greg Marshall, coach of Wichita State. Yep. He came out and said, hey, in a joking fashion, hey, Michigan, should we play for the national championship?
Because Ohio State lost to Wichita State, who lost to Louisville, and Louisville beat Michigan in the championship. Yes.
But I will say, I actually have a big problem with the NCAA doing what they did. I do not condone what Louisville did at all in their program. But I will, an allegation, scandal, it was a scandal that should have been talked about. It was not good what they did. I have no problem with firings, no problem with suspensions, no problem with fines. But vacating a national championship does not make any sense to me because they were on the floor. Those players fought really hard, blood, sweat, and tears. They practiced like crazy. and they earned the championship. They still have rings on their
Yes.
fingers. They still, Rick
Pitino's
Pitino got a tattoo on his shoulder.
Yep.
They won. Nobody could take that away from them. So vacating it to me doesn't make any sense. They're penalized in a lot of ways.
Yep.
There's no reason to vacate it because they did win that national championship.
So the first question I asked my boys were like, does Kevin Ware get his broken leg back?
Right.
We watched his leg get broken in the Final Four. The team won for him. They were like holding him up. It was very emotional, saying how much he loved the Louisville fans. And that pretty much hurt his career from there on out. He was a highly talented prospect or recruit coming through high school. He left and went to,
Georgia State.
Georgia State. They won the game on the buzzer beater a couple years later.
Right. He actually played well for Georgia State, but clearly not the same level.
It's not the same caliber as Louisville.
Right.
Coming out of the old Big East, now the new ACC.
Mm-hmm.
That team was incredible. So it's like you take that away. What did we watch then? Does it matter?
I completely agree with you, and I'll say this too: if teams cheat and it causes them an advantage on the floor, for example, like
steroids.
Yeah, steroids. You don't really know what to say for basketball, but if for some reason they made the basket different for their advantage,
Put like Windex on
right, yeah.
Something like that.
Then you can vacate a championship. But what Louisville did, first of all, there's no proof that any of the players on that national championship team came there just because of what happened with the sexual favors.
Yes.
So guys like Russ Smith, Peyton Siva, Shane Bohannon, Luke Hancock, Kevin Ware, like those could be great guys, and they could have had nothing to do with it. You don't take away their championship. Now, clearly, they still know they're champions, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. But I would just say the NCAA doesn't seem to always put forth fair punishments.
Yes. I mean, that's how it always is. I was expecting a lesser punishment than that.
Me too.
We'll see what they do with Michigan State and how bad their punishment could be. Is it going to be as bad as the SMU when they had the death penalty?
We're going to see.
I mean, we'll see. Time will tell. So let's move it forward here now to the college basketball world today.
Okay.
Not 4 or 5 years ago. If you look at the top 25 this entire year, it's been rotating. There isn't a team that was like Kentucky in the past where they've been so dominant. We're like, okay, this team's going to be in the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you have a Villanova now or Michigan State as of now that are like, okay, these are the best teams, but they're not head over heels better. They have multiple losses on their scheduled resume.
Exactly.
It is so open. But if you go back, I guess a couple weeks ago, Oklahoma was the hottest team in college basketball. Have lost 5 or now 6 straight, fallen off the map. Now they're a bubble team. What is going on?
Well, Oklahoma, Trae Young had a quote earlier this year. He decided to go to Oklahoma and not Texas Tech because he wanted a better chance to win. Now, it's a little